Welcome to HomeFront SitRep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront SitRep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront SitRep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Still in the fight, different battlefield, same damn life. No spotlight shining on the ones who serve, just great sacrifice and a whole lot of nerve. From small town shops to a helping hand, we're lifting each other, yeah, that's the plan. No red tape, no filter, no disguise, just truth in the fire behind our eyes. This is HomeFront SitRep, hear the call, where the real ones rise and the fallen stand tall. Every voice matters, every story's legit. We're family here, this is HomeFront SitRep. From the shadows to the spotlight we step. Yeah, this is HomeFront SitRep. From the scars we carry to the lives we rebuild, from the weight of silence to the strength of will. Non-profits grinding, boots on the street, no headlines chasing, just mission complete. Veteran alone, still chasing the dream. From a mic to a message, we're building a team. Creators and fighters, yeah, we all belong. Turn the pain into purpose, turn the hurt into song. No politics, no games, no divide, just warriors standing side by side. This is HomeFront SitRep, hear the call, where the real ones rise and the fallen stand tall. Every voice matters, every story's legit. We're family here, this is HomeFront SitRep. From the shadows to the spotlight we step. Yeah, this is HomeFront SitRep. But we don't forget, we don't walk away. We carry each other through every day. From combat boots to a boss to a seat, still standing tall, still hard to defeat. Real stories, real impact, real people. This ain't just a podcast. This is a movement. This is HomeFront SitRep, loud and clear, for the ones still fighting year after year. Every voice matters, every story's legit. We're family here, this is HomeFront SitRep. Yeah, we rise, we grind, no regret. Welcome to HomeFront SitRep.
Welcome, everybody, to a Sunday edition of HomeFront SitRep. How is everybody doing? Man, I tell you what, I'm doing wonderful. This week, the weather has been just perfect. Bipolar as usual here in Kentucky. One day it's 78 degrees outside, the next day it's 20 degrees outside, and it's just like one of these days it might not be bipolar, but it is Kentucky in the Ohio Valley, so you never know. One minute it could be sun shining, the next minute could be snowing outside. As you can see, I am by myself solo tonight. Gunny is up in Maine. He is visiting family up there in Maine. He took his kids up there and his wife and kids up there. So he's up hanging out. He might join the comments here in a little bit, just depending on where he's at up there and what they got going on. I want to say welcome to everybody out there. If you're whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on LinkedIn, whether you're watching on YouTube or TikTok. Welcome in. Thanks for coming back and hanging out with HomeFront SitRep on Sunday nights and Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. Man, let me tell you. So, daughter came in from college this weekend. Of course, we have my youngest here as well. She's graduating this year. Just recently had prom. She surprised everybody. She hadn't worn a dress in 7 years. She wore her first dress in 7 years and surprised everybody. So amazing prom weekend with her. Of course, I kind of talked about that last weekend. Um, and then my oldest daughter came in for the weekend, and and she just went back today. And my youngest daughter's car, the linkage on her transmission kind of messed up, so I had to jack that up and figure out why. Couldn't shift it from park to neutral to drive, whatever, and finally got that fixed today for her, and she's stupid happy for that. So luckily, Dad's a shade tree mechanic and can figure out some stuff every now and then. Every now and then, I am useful. Every now and then, of course, if you got to be when you have teenage daughters, you got to be useful. So hopefully, everybody's had a great week. Um, man, we just had tip of the spear on Wednesday, just this past Wednesday, and one of the topics that we were talking about is veterans reaching out to 988 pound one. And there's a veteran up in the news right now in Vermont. I don't know the whole backstory. I'm waiting for Travis with Oscar Mike Radio. He's in contact with the family, in contact with a lawyer. Uh, Said veteran reached out to 988, said he was struggling. Of course, there was some VA medication that got changed and stuff of that nature. Um, Veteran reached out to 988, said he was struggling. Of course, being a mandatory reporter, they had to report it to the police, the state police in Vermont. Um, Veteran turned himself in with no incident. All right, turned himself into the state police. Um, State police got him over to the VA psych ward. Said, "Hey, we're not pressing any charges or anything of that nature." Unfortunately, the state's attorney decided, hey, we're going to press charges. So this veteran is facing some serious jail time because he reached out for help. And the thing about it is, man, we tell people in the veteran realm, like we are, what's up, we the people? We tell people in the veteran space, if you're a veteran and you need help, reach out. Whether it's 988, whether it's another veteran, whoever, reach out to somewhere to get the help you need. Well, if this veteran gets prosecuted and spends 20 years in jail because he reached out for help, bro, that's going to throw a whole monkey wrench into our whole world when it comes to veterans reaching out for help. Some of us already don't want to ask for help because we think it's a sign of weakness, right? So, if this veteran in Vermont, you can go Google it. JJ, I forget his JJ. God, I can't even think of his last name right now. But go Google the veteran in Vermont charged with domestic terrorism. Go check it out. I mean, I tell you, it's going to get crazy, because here's a veteran that reached out for help. The state police figured out, hey, this guy's medicine's off. He needs to go. What's up, Franco? How are you? Happy Sunday, brother. This guy in Vermont reached out for help, getting charged by the state's attorney. To me, it's like the state's attorney wants to go for a different political office. So now he's trying to make this case be his cornerstone case, but he doesn't really understand the ramifications that it's going to cause, not just for him, because there's a shit ton of veterans in Vermont, but nationwide, there's a shit ton of us veterans. And if this guy's running for political office and he's going to try to railroad a veteran that needed help and went about it a way that he thought was best at the time, bro, something's wrong. So, it's one of those things. We tell people all the time, reach out for help. If you need help, reach out. And if this guy gets sentenced 20 years to prison time for reaching out to help, and man, it's gonna be a whole ball of wax. Uh, I can't wait to hear from Oscar, Mike, Radio, Travis, and get some follow up information because the transcripts are not released and all of this. But regardless, the VA changed this guy's medicine. It wasn't working. Something else was going on in his brain at the time, and he might have said some stuff that he probably shouldn't have said. But does that mean he needs to spend 20 years in prison because the medicine was jacked up? No, I don't think so. But that's my opinion. So it is what it is. But I hope everybody out there is having a great day, moving always forward. Uh, like we say, man, if you need help, reach out. If you don't want to reach out to somebody who's a mandatory reporter, don't reach out to somebody who's in your tribe. Reach out to another veteran that say, hey, man, I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with this, or I'm struggling with that. We just had a guy in our signal group, Gunny, myself, and 10 other guys are in this signal group from SOF missions. And one of the guys reached out. Now, his situation's a little bit different. I'm not going to divulge the information, but he reached out and said, hey, man, I'm struggling. This is what I'm struggling with. And we've been talking with him, and that's the first step, is reaching out. So reach out to your tribe. I don't care who you reach out to. Reach out to somebody you trust. Reach out to your tribe. It takes a village. So with that being said, just remember, you're not alone. We're all here for you. So tonight, man, I tell you what, I'm super excited about tonight's guest. I want to thank um, Tracy Miracle, if I remember that. I think that's her name, Tracy Miracle. She reached out to me about this guest that we're going to have come on tonight. He's wrote several books. He's a playwright. Let me give you a little bit here. Jeff isn't just a writer, he's a storyteller who's built a career on honoring real people, real history, and the weight behind both. Known for transforming complex, deeply human experiences into accessible narratives. Jeff's approaches military stories with a level of respect and intentionality that resonates with both veterans and civilians alike. His works reflect a commitment to preserving legacy, ensuring the moments of sacrifice and service and silence are never forgotten. Boy, that right there just feels goosebumps all over, right? So Jeff has written two books, and we're going to talk about both of them. I'm going to show you the first one. This one is the first book that we're going to talk about, and it's called 21 Steps. And we all know what 21 Steps is about. We all know. It's this is something, if you haven't seen it in person, I highly recommend going to Arlington and watching and just observing the 21 Steps. Um, it's a very somber, humbling moment if you get to witness this. So we're going to talk about this book, and then we're going to talk about this book right here. This is the latest. This is called Honor Flight. And we all know what Honor Flight is, right? If you don't know what Honor Flight is, we're getting ready to find out. Honor Flight happens all over the country at the different airports. And they take World War II veterans, Vietnam veterans, Korean veterans to DC and do the honor flight. And then when they come back, there's a whole plethora of people in the terminal when they come back, welcome them home, back to their home airport. It's also another very humbling moment and experience. If you've never been, check out with your local honor flight area and see when they're doing it. Go to the airport first, right? Go up to the airport, go do that. And then when you get more involved, become a guardian. And we'll talk about that more with Jeff here in just a few minutes because he got to be a guardian. And man, I tell you, you never know who you're going to get paired with. Now you can have a veteran that that's doing the honor flight and they can say, yeah, I want this guy to be my guardian or this guy to be my guardian, whatever. Or you can just go up there and I don't care who I get because I will tell you, you will make a lifelong friend with that veteran. I guarantee it. So I guess it's about time to bring Jeff up to the stage. What do you guys think? Are y'all ready to see Mr. Jeff? I am. Let's do it. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Man, it's great to be with you. Thank you for that introduction. My mother would be happy to hear that.
Well, you are very welcome. It's an honor for us to have you here on HomeFront SitRep. Do me a favor and introduce yourself to the world of HomeFront SitRep if you don't mind.
Sure. So, Jeff Gottesfeld, I was born in Manhattan in 1956 and grew up in suburban New Jersey. I went to law school at some point. I've traveled a great deal. I've visited or lived in 46 out of 50 states, including a decade in Nashville, undergraduate work in Maine. I was in Utah for several years. I live in Los Angeles now, and I've been writing for a living since the 1980s. I've written a little bit of everything. I wrote a fair amount of teenage fiction, fiction for teens. I did some playwriting. I've written for at least 2 or 3 television shows. I wrote for Young and the Restless for quite some time, As the World Turns, and Another World when it was on the air. And then I made a veer in my career maybe 10 years ago and shifted to writing manuscripts for picture books for kids, but not really little kids, like 2nd grade and up, 3rd grade and up, typically about things that maybe you wouldn't expect a picture book would be about.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. So I was reading your bio, like I did a deep dive into you when, Tracy reached out to me and I was like, man, my grandmother would love to talk to this guy because she loved Young and the Restless and Days of Our Lives and all of that. And of course, back then she had the VCR set. She recorded it because she worked at GE. So she recorded it and she would come home and she loved, and until the day she died, she watched Days of Our Lives and Young and the Restless. And she would have loved to like pick your brain about, being able to write for, a long standing series like those 2 shows, because I mean, that in itself, being able to get into the Hollywood realm, because we all know Hollywood is cutthroat. Like we all know, like we just had Teresa Zano, her husband, they do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, they're 10th degree martial artists, and they do choreography and all that for action movies. And they're like, man, it's so hard to get into it. And probably the same thing with you being a writer, because you got so many people vying for that job.
Well,
Everybody
yeah,
wants your job.
yeah, it's a job that a lot of people want to do, and it's incredibly fun. I mean, it's really fun to work on a soap opera script and see it on the air 6 weeks later. If you like to write, and you're writing a lot, right? Because soaps are on the air every day, and we try to tell as good stories as we could possibly tell. But right now, writing picture books is more interesting for me. One thing that your audience should know is that I am an extremely imperfect messenger for these military books. I didn't serve. I came of age during the Vietnam era. I've got 3 big strapping brothers that didn't serve. My parents didn't. My grandparents didn't. And growing up in Teaneck, New Jersey, as I did, coming of age in the late 60s and early 70s, I would say, I must confess that my attitude about the American military was disdainful at best. That's a polite way to put it.
Right.
Obviously, I don't see things the same way anymore.
Yeah. Well, back then the political climate back then was a lot different than it is now. Of course, it still is, there's still that divide. You still got people on both sides. Like me and my family, we're all about the military. Now, granted, I will tell you, my opinions about the military and my wife's opinions are very different. We have our different views, and same thing with my children. My children the same way, and we raised our children to be strong, independent women because I have two daughters, and I have one daughter that's like, hey, she wants to be an FBI agent. That's her end goal, right? And then I have another daughter that wants to be a high school history teacher. And it's just like, okay, cool. One is thinking about joining the military. The other one thought about joining the military until President Trump got into office. And she's like, I'm not going into the military as long as he's in office. So, and that's okay. And it's okay to have different ideals about things, the way you think about things. And same thing with, back when you were growing up in the late 60s, there was a lot of people that didn't like the war in Vietnam, there was a whole different climb when it came to supporting the conflict or war or not supporting the conflict or war. So I want to say thank you for being you, because without you and who you are now, we wouldn't have these two books. And we're going to talk about the first one, this one right here, because to me, out of the two books that I have, I would say this one probably means more to me than the other. Now, granted, they're both equally important. Don't get me wrong. This one here, I think, I just think that this one hits home a little differently than the other. So let's talk about this one. What was the reason and why behind this one here?
I can tell you how it came about. It's actually a great story. So as I lived around the country. I lived in Europe and France for a while. I started to see the world differently from how I did when I was a teenager. And as a result of that, I started going to national cemeteries on Memorial Day. Wherever I was living, Nashville, kind of big one there. Salt Lake City has a smaller one. Los Angeles has a big one. I'm just going, because it's my responsibility to be there. So it's Memorial Day of 2016, and I'm with my de facto wife and our youngest one, and we are at the Los Angeles National Cemetery. We're walking around, and I'm looking at headstones, and I saw a headstone in front of me that had the word unknown on it. And I was struck. I didn't know we had unknown soldiers buried in that cemetery. Walked a little further, saw another headstone that said unknown, and it was like transfixing for me, because I thought back to when I was a boy and had gone to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington, and I realized I didn't know anything about this place. I didn't know when it was built. I didn't know who was buried there. And I certainly didn't know anything about the men and women who were guarding it, and guard it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and have done so as part of this unit since July 2nd of 1937. And before that, other units did. By the time I left the cemetery that day, I was determined to write this book. And I had that moment, that all writers have when they've got an idea. You go home and you start Googling around and you're like, on the one hand, I wanted someone to have written about it because this needs to be out there for kids. On the other hand, I also wanted to write the book.
Right.
And there was nothing. And it was shocking to me because this is as close to our national shrine as we've got, right? It's a secular shrine. There's nothing like it in the country. And it was almost 100 years at that point. And
Yeah.
no one had written about it for kids. Well, that's a big, like, okay, Jeff, you're not military here. How are you going to do this? And how are you going to do it right? And then particularly when I read the Seminoles Creed and learned that their standard is perfection, I had to get this book as perfect as I could get it. So
Yeah.
it was a big responsibility to take on my shoulders, but in a way it felt a little bit like it chose me. So okay, I'm gonna carry this and carry it as well as I can.
Yeah. And that's, I love the fact that you kind of tailored it towards children, because a lot of history isn't being taught in school nowadays. And what I mean by that, there's a lot of history that people are trying to erase and not teaching the younger generation, the up and coming future leaders. And they don't understand. Like my kids, they've been to the Tomb of the Unknown. They know what it means. It's one of those things. And with me being a veteran and being able to take them to different veteran events and seeing the sacrifice that we as veterans we take on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of people try to shelter children from that. And there's a way out there, and your book is a very good example of that, on how to teach children about history without what's the word I'm looking for? Without uh
Maybe not being age appropriate,
yeah,
right?
and where it's not
Right.
age appropriate, and scaring the living
Right,
daylights out of them,
right.
right?
So it's this balance that we're looking for.
Yeah,
On the one hand, um, you're not going to write it jingoistically. On the
yeah,
other hand, you're going to talk about the reality of how important it is that we've got a military and what the American military does that's different from what other countries have done and will do and are doing, as we can see.
yeah,
And then you try to have to make it personal for them, because you're right. This is not necessarily material that's being taught in elementary schools, and it's thematically different as well. Like,
yeah,
look, I have a lot of respect for my colleagues, and I have a lot of respect for some of the thrust that's going on in elementary school. Kids today, they are much more compassionate than I ever was
yeah,
as a 10-year-old. And they are much more tolerant and they are much more kind. On the other hand, there are values like fidelity and responsibility and respect and
yeah,
obedience and reverence that are also important values,
yeah,
and they are personified by soldiers. They are made examples of by the unknown soldiers, and they are attested to every moment of every day by the tomb guards.
oh yeah, I would agree with you 100% there. And to go there and see the Tomb of the Unknown in Arlington in person. um it's one of those experiences, no matter how old you are. I mean, I've seen toddlers to grown men, grown women crying at the ceremonies and stuff that goes there. And for people to walk the the cemetery there, and see all of the grave sites that are there of the people that have uh given the ultimate sacrifice, and for there to be unknown uh soldiers, sailors, airmen, whoever, um in any war, climb, or place. It's terrible to even think that someone's loved one went to war and never came home, and mom, dad, sister, brother has no clue where their body is or anything of that nature. And it just, man, it's one of those things. It's a very humbling experience.
So I'm going to read you a paragraph from early in the book. And my device for telling this story is I tell the story of the tomb and the tomb guards from the point of view of the first unknown, who was buried there on November 11th in 1921. So here's the paragraph. In 1921, one unknown returned to stand for all. I was transported by the Navy to Washington and lay in state in the Capitol, where an army of mourners filed past my casket. Many were families whose sons died nameless and faceless. As they knelt, prayed, and anointed my flag with tears, I felt their stories. The stories of a Boston kid who swung for the fences, a Texas boy who broke horses, a Choctaw Nation farmhand, a Nevada miner. In that moment, I became theirs.
Mm. Yeah, that's so powerful right there. Yeah, that is so powerful.
And that's
Just
it,
think,
right? That's it, right? I mean,
yeah,
the unknown soldier, we don't, it's so great. We have no idea who it is. We don't know if Christian, Jewish, black, white, Latino, atheist, tall, short, aren't we know nothing at all about that person.
right.
And then we've got unknowns there from World War I, World War II in Korea. And we really don't know much about the tomb guards either, right? They're as much alike on the map as they can be.
Yeah.
And so when we look at them all, they become ours. And then we look beyond that to the cemetery and all those headstones that you were talking about. And those are ours too. And beyond that, the Capitol.
Yeah, man, I will tell you, going there, whether you go first light or dusk, and see, before the cemetery closes, and you get to experience the whole thing, whether there's funerals going on that day, because they still bury people there to this day. And you get to visit, you can go up there and you stay as long as you want. And we went to DC in 2019, and I tell you, we spent probably 5 hours there, just walking the grounds, and seeing all of these veterans that are there. And
I've had probably, I can't tell you how many times I've been.
yeah,
Um, 3 visits stand out. One, I was there on a terrible day, and I was on the steps pretty much alone for a long time, alone. That was something. Another remarkable day is I got to go down into tomb guard quarters and present the book to the tomb guards and meet the sergeant of the guard, Chelsea Porterfield. And it was so great to see all these male soldiers running, speeding to do whatever Chelsea told them to do.
oh yeah,
And then my last visit there was, I think it was, no, this was my last one. So I was there in 2020, 100th anniversary. And the Park Service and the military opened the plaza to visitors so that you could come and pay your respects directly in front of the tomb. I
Oh
was
man.
there. I was there with my dear friend Michelle Green
Mm.
and Michelle's mom, Pearl, and Michelle's dad, Eddie Leung, was a Tuskegee Airman, triple rated. Okay, pilot, bombardier, navigator.
Oh
Who
man.
served World War II, Korea, and then did special ops Vietnam. And Pearl was like 97 years old for this visit. And we rolled her out in her wheelchair, and just nothing like it, right? Nothing
Yeah.
like
That's that's the beauty of it though, is you can go by yourself or you can go with this person or this person, and each time you're going to get something different out of the trip. And it just it, it's man, it's so humbling to go there. And I highly recommend, if you get a chance, go to the Tomb of the Unknown. Any, even the Vietnam, the wall. So we have the traveling wall come. So last year it was, or 2 years ago it was in Shepherdsville, which is a little town about 10 miles from me. This year, September 17th through the 20th, we're going to have it in my town, and it's an 80% replica of the Vietnam Wall. So every name is on there, but it also has the Cost of Freedom tribute. So any battle, conflict, whatever since Vietnam, they have A-frames that has the names listed on it, that are etched on it, and it's so cool. Eh, going to DC and seeing the wall, is the same. Very, when the lights go out and the lights come on. So when the sun goes down and lights come on, just that experience there. But having an 80% replica in your hometown, and watching, people that have never been to DC to see the wall come. Prime example, last or 2 years ago when we had it in Shepherdsville, I was there every day. I was from when we set it up to when we broke it down. I was there pretty much almost all day, every day, except for when I had to come home, eat, and do all that good jazz. I was there one day. It was a kind of a rainy day. We had, I think, 4 or 5 golf carts. We would go to the parking lot, pick up people that needed to, have a ride to the wall. There was this vehicle that was parked, had the headlights on, windshield wipers going. It was parked in a spot for about 10 minutes. Then it moved to a different spot. Then it moved to a different spot. And then it moved to another spot. So I was like, man, something's going on. I'm going to go find out I'm going to investigate. So I took the golf cart over there, and I asked the gentleman that was driving. I was like, hey, do you need a ride up to the wall or whatnot? He goes, no. He said, "I've been here every day this week, but I can't I can't I can't go to the wall." I was like, "Well, I got a golf cart. I'll take you up there." He goes, "No, it's a long walk." And I didn't think about it when he said it, right? And then I said, "Well, I got a golf cart. I can take you up there." He goes, "No, son, you're not listening to me." He goes, "It's a long walk." After he said that, I got it. I was like, "Oh, okay, I got it." He was a Vietnam vet. You could tell he was the age of being a Vietnam vet. I was like, "Well, I'm gonna go back up here. If you want, just flag me down. I'll come get you." And I sat there and I took the golf cart back up there, and I sat there and watched probably for another probably for another 45 minutes. The guy kept moving different spaces, and he would never get out of his car. Uh, what's up, Gunny? There's Gunny. So it's Dexter, Maine, is where Gunny is.
Got it.
Uh, Gunny, you and this guy's got a connection to Maine.
Huh.
Just give you a heads up.
This guy went to Colby.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was just a very humbling experience, and then to see, some people that have never been to DC to see the wall. and to have it, here, and people from, towns all around were able to come and see a replica, and it was just a very humbling experience. So, um, all right, all right. So we know 21 steps and the reason why for that. Let's talk about honor flight. The reason why you wrote honor flight, and talk about the why.
Well, I mean, you write you write a book like 21 Steps, and your life changes as a result of it. I found myself talking to so many veterans groups, to USOs, to American Legions, to the Wounded Warrior Project. It was an adult foundation, and in the course of these conversations, I learned about the Honor Flight program and understood that it came into being. It's my favorite kind of story. It was just two guys who had a great idea, and started off very small with no great ambitions about it turning into anything huge. I dug into it. I did my own, became a guardian on Honor Flight myself out of Honor Flight, Central Coast, California, Paso Robles and Santa Maria Airport, with a stranger as my vet. And it's a perfect picture book, perfect idea for a picture book. And I was able to get the same illustrator who did 21 Steps, Matt Tavares, and he did just as amazing illustration through this book as his previous one, and sort of use a little bit of the same narrative technique. So for 21 Steps, it is the first unknown, nameless, faceless, who is the narrator, and the narrator for Honor Flight is a nameless vet. Never say who he is, never say what branch of the service. He is just narrating his own experience. His guardian is a teacher. We don't learn much about him until the end of the book, and then there is a kid involving twist toward the very end that I hope latches children in forever.
That's awesome. So I'm gonna show some pages. I didn't show any pages of 21 steps, but I do want to show like some of the illustrations. Like this is Honor Flight there, and then like this here. I think that's super cool. Make sure I get it. So it's a very easy read, and like you said, it is a picture book. It's got some things, like it's got a vet that's sitting on a front porch, which I think a lot of us do that. We sit on the front porch and just think, and then you got a vet that's looking out the window of the airplane. It's just it's a very good book for children. Gunny says the books are amazing. Thank you for the copies and bringing the Tomb and Honor Flight to life for so many that may never be part of either. Yeah, I would agree, Gunny. The books are amazing. We
Well,
have
try to make the experience real.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it real for veterans who are reading it, and I'm trying to make it real for kids with their incredible sense of empathy to understand why it matters. So I'll read another paragraph early in the book. Some of us came home to joy, others to curses. Some never came home. Some spoke of their time, others could not. Some moved forward, others were mired in the vicious quicksand of trauma. A famous general declared that soldiers do not die, they just fade away. But death does not frighten us. We faced it then and now. What scares us is being forgotten.
Mm.
And of course, the honor flight program is, don't forget, right? You don't forget. The
Yeah.
started with this one guy, Earl Morse in Ohio, in 2005. He was a private pilot and been in the Air Force, and was a physician assistant, I think, at a VA hospital. Realized that a number of the vets of the hospital had never been to Washington to see their monuments. So Morse organizes 3 or 4 other private pilots. They fly a dozen vets to DC for a day. And then this guy in Hendersonville, North Carolina, Jeff Miller, he runs a dry cleaning store. Miller calls Morris. It's like, this is cool. I heard about this. I want to charter a plane and do the same thing. Morris was like, it's never going to work, right? That's just too much. Miller did it, right? Chartered the plane. Morse and Miller joined forces shortly thereafter. There are now 130 honor flight hubs around the country. Honor Flight Network in the last 20 years has flown 329,000 vets with guardians to DC to see their monuments. Every vet gets a guardian whose job is, I learned this when I was a guardian. I'm like, this trip's not on me. It's not for me. My job here is make sure my vet has a great experience and stays safe above all. And since we're dealing with men and women over the age of 75, generally, that's not actually lip service. We got a lot of wheelchairs, we got a lot of canes, we have a lot of walkers. But there's nothing like it for these men and women, and nothing like it for us guardians.
Yeah, like I said, I've been part of the welcome home when the flight comes back from DC, whether it's super late at night or whenever it comes back. I've been there, I think 3 times already.
Right.
And I will tell you, it's an amazing experience each time, because you might have some veterans that get off the plane and they're just stoic. Then you might have the other veterans get off the plane and, especially the Vietnam vets that didn't get the welcome home that they deserved, and they're coming back and, they're bawling their eyes out because you got all these people, women, children, men at the airport, clapping and saying welcome home. And, they didn't get that, they didn't feel like, especially the Vietnam vets, when they came home, they got spit on and everything
Some
else.
of them, yeah.
And, and it's just amazing to see that transformation of the veteran when they come back from an honor flight. It's just so cool.
That welcome home, it's so interesting, right? Because in a way it's joyful, in a way it's penance for a mistake 50 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And not the same, like most of the people who were at the airports, they weren't alive back then, right? The kids, the scouts, the young soldiers who were there. But everybody knows that was not handled properly, right? We screwed that up as a country. And honor flight, these homecomings, they fix it, right? They fix it for the vets and they fix it for the people who are participating.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we had another veteran on a while back when I first started. His name's Matthias Carter. He's also an Army veteran, author as well. He's also the I forget but he's with the Road Home program by Rush, out of Chicago, Illinois. He wrote a book. It's called Instead of Sheep, a soldier's way of explaining PTSD to his son.
Yeah.
And he's got an illustrator as well that's also an Army veteran, Nick. I can't remember his last name. It's this book right here. And when I got that book and I let my daughters read it, who were a little bit older, they kind of understood some of the things that Dad goes through. Some of the things, concerts, fireworks, stuff that's unexpected. especially if I'm out and about and somebody lets off a firework, or I was at an EKU football game and they had a cannon, and normally when the home team scores, they fire off the cannon, right? So I'm ready for that when that happens. But I was sitting there one day or one during one of the games, and my oldest daughter, who's at EKU, she was across the field in the student section, and my wife and we were in our season ticket seats, front row on about the 25-yard line, and all of a sudden the cannon just goes off. And here I am. I'm like, so I put my head down, trying to recollect myself. And my daughter, she texts me, she goes, "Dad, you okay?" Because I had my head down. I said, "Yes, baby, I'm just trying to uh, collect myself," because I was not expecting the cannon to go off when it did, right? It was just something. So even now, I've been out of the military since 2004. I have to worry about that. I have to worry about things that are outside of my control. Like 4th of July, I can be the one lighting the fireworks off. I can't be somewhere where somebody else is going to light them off and I don't know that it's coming.
It's
I have to,
interesting.
yeah, I have to be the one that's doing the lighting, so I know it's coming. I have to be the one, uh, and it's just got to be that way. And driving home late at night, from a 4th of July party or whatnot, after we could leave, and people were still lighting off fireworks. I'm like, bro, come on, you got to calm that down. Especially when I'm at home I just don't know what's coming. I'm like, so I just got to prepare myself for that, especially being here in Kentucky. Usually about 2 weeks prior to 4th of July, people decide they're going to start lighting fireworks off, and it's every night. And it's just like, bro, come on. It's a Monday night or a Tuesday night. It ain't 4th of July yet. So I just have to be very prepared. And that's what I love about you guys. So here you are, you've got 2 books that you've written about awesome military things. Honor Flight, 21 Steps, that explains things to children, because we've talked about it numerous times on this show that children of service members get forgotten and
Well,
nobody explains.
I'm trying to fix that. I
Yeah.
have a book coming, same publisher from Candlewick. God bless them. I have a book coming in October called We All Serve, which is about military brats. It's about
Nice.
military kids. And I just love this book. The illustrator is a woman named Tamika Grooms, who was raised as an Army brat. And the book it just works for me because, as you know, military kids, they look like all other kids. Their lives are not like all other kids.
They are definitely not.
Their lives are not at all like other kids. Whether you're a brat and you're moving and you have a permanent change of station, or mom or dad are away for Christmas and you're celebrating in March when they come home, or a bedtime story is read to you over a video link, or God forbid, mom or dad comes home with PTSD, which is something which is covered in the book.
Or mom and dad don't come home.
Or mom or dad doesn't come home or comes home wounded.
Yeah.
These are all things and yeah, it's for brats and for military kids, but it's mostly for the other kids in their classes.
Yeah.
So try to get children to think about stuff that they're not ordinarily thinking about or being taught, and to look at possibilities. Like, for example, in Honor Flight, the vet is sponsored by a 4th grade class. He finds this out at the end of the book, and then his guardian is this 4th grade teacher, and he meets the 4th grade class at homecoming, and all the kids write letters for mail call on the plane. And so kids reading this can go, oh, we can send a teacher or a librarian from our school. They can be a guardian. We can go to homecoming. We can write letters for mail call. And when I've spoken to already numerous classrooms and assemblies about this, and to say that kids are gung-ho about participating is an understatement. They just didn't even know the opportunity was there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing is getting the opportunities out there for these for the children to participate. And I love that you got a book coming out to explain how military children, especially of active duty service members, um, the things that they deal with, and you can even incorporate the spouse into that
For sure.
because whether it's the husband or the wife that's in the military, and then you got the children that I've known children of military personnel that moved every year or every other year because mom or dad had to relocate to a different base, and how hard that is for them to pick up and move to a whole nother state, go to a whole different school and meet new people, and then 2 years later they got to move somewhere else and start all over again. And a lot of the times the people that they meet on these other bases or other schools they'll never see again for the rest of their lives. So it's super hard for children of military service members, uh, especially when you move constantly.
Right.
I the things that they have to deal with, the different bullies at each school that don't understand, well, why is your dad not here or why is your mom not here? And the bullies are bullying them because mom is deployed in Kuwait or Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever, or dad is deployed wherever, and they're like, well, you don't have a daddy, you don't have a mommy. So yeah, I love the fact that you got a book coming out to try to explain to children um how children of service members how they relate to things. I think it's
Yes,
super
and
cool.
I tell that book, it's a collective first person. It is we are, we're military brats, and then we'll shift to first person. I've got some, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force. Every branch of the service is represented, and each of the kids is talking about a different part of the experience of being a military brat. And
Mm,
hopefully, and I expect this to be the case, by the time a average civilian kid is done, they will look at their class and their school and their classmates just a little differently from
that's
how they did before they opened the book.
Well, that's awesome, my friend. That is super cool. All right. So unfortunately, we are already at an hour, unfortunately. All right. So who do you want to thank as an author? I know you got PR people, you got your publishers and all of that good jazz. So let's go ahead and thank all of those people just so we make sure we talk about them.
Oh, and very, very quickly, my illustrator, Matt Tavares, on 21 Steps and Honor Fight, the book would not be a quarter as good without his brilliance. Um, Kaylin Adair, who's my editor at Candlewick, who saw the wisdom in these titles. Laura Peterson has been my agent forever. And my de facto spouse, Beth Leadham, who is my biggest cheerleader, my first editor, my sharpest eye, and biggest helper.
Awesome. And then now where can people find these books at?
They're fortunately they're all have all been very well reviewed. They should be in just about any big bookstore. Obviously at Amazon or Barnes and Noble or bookshop.org. My books are easy to find, and it's not
Awesome.
hard to find me with my last name.
There you go. Yeah, definitely. Just go to Amazon, go to Google, type in 21 Steps or Honor Flight with Jeff's name, and order these books, especially if you have young children at home, grandchildren, whatever, or if you're a school teacher, get these books and take them to the school. I was just thinking about that. My daughter, she's a senior in high school. She is teaching at a sixth grade class. So like she leaves schools and she leaves her school, goes to the middle school. So I'm gonna say, hey, take these books with you, and let your your sixth grade students read these books. I'm gonna take the covers off though because I want to make sure the covers stay in good. Uh, uh,
I will say about your daughters, because I was thinking this when you mentioned them. Maybe not the military, but these are two young women who are interested in doing service,
yes,
right?
sir.
Service to our big collective of a country, our beautiful, sometimes impossible nation. So
Yes.
hats off to you for a new to for getting it there.
Well, thank you very much. I want to say thank you to you for taking time out of your busy schedule and come hanging out with me for this hour. And I also want to say thank you again to Tracy from the PR firm that reached out to me and connected me and you. This has been an honor uh, for me to have you on here to talk about your why you wrote Honor Flight, why you wrote 21 Steps, and I can't wait to see the next book and have it and put it back here with this book as well. It's just it's amazing. So I want to say thank you again. I'm going to stay connected with you. If you want, I can connect you with Matthias. Maybe you and him can work on a book together about PTSD. I think because he's got plans for his he wrote his book for his son. It's a soldier's way explaining PTSD to his son, but he's planning on expanding as his kid grows, and he's got a whole brainchild thing that he wants to do. And I think you and him collabing together, I think that would be super cool. So I'm gonna try to connect you guys via text or email. That way, maybe y'all can work together on a book. I think that would be super cool.
Please do. And thank you
So,
so much for having me on your show.
hey, you're very welcome, and thank you. So I'm gonna drop you in the green room. If you got to go, I understand. If not, we'll chit chat at the end.
Good,
It's
good,
up
good.
to
I'll
you.
be there for you.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Ladies and gents, how cool was that, man? That is super cool. Um, these books, man, they are awesome. Honor Flight, 21 Steps. This one right here, it's just so powerful, right? What it talks about, and it's able to teach children the history behind the Tomb of the Unknown and talk about the sentinels that are there. And then Honor Flight. I remember, when Honor Flight kind of first started, it was not very big. Like he said, it started out really, really small, and then it's just grown over 20 years and 130 hubs. I mean, that's super, super cool, right? Um, so yeah, get these books. Go to Amazon, wherever, Barnes and Noble, wherever. Look for these books. If you're a teacher, highly recommend. I highly recommend getting these books and letting your students read these books. It's so super cool. Unfortunately, Gunny's not here, but Gunny did leave a video for words of wisdom. So we're going to do that here in just 1 second. I got to get set up over here. That's not what I'm looking for. Uh, do. I don't know why it went there. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So I do the joke of the day every time we're on here, and the last joke fell kind of flat. Gunny said, so I'm gonna try to do some. I'm gonna do a different joke. But anyway, it's time for Gunny's words of wisdom.
Gunny's words of wisdom.
Hate only comes from below, never from above.
I'm gonna play that again for the people in the back.
Hate only comes from below, never from above.
Hate only comes from below, never from above. Take that in. Let that sink in. Let that resonate. I think that is some amazing Amazing words of wisdom there from Gunny. All right, so let's do. Well, so we did a Marine joke last time. Let's see. Let's do. All right, here we go. I got it.
It's time for the joke of the day.
How do you play Air Force bingo? Let me repeat that for you. How do you play Air Force bingo? A10, B52, F16. That's A10, B52, F16. That's your Air Force joke of the day. All right, guys, it's about that time. Let's do this. Hashtag you're not alone. Listen, ladies and gents, don't let your dark days win. Remember, in the silence of your struggles, remember, though unseen, you are deeply held in the hearts of others. You are not alone. The uniform may come off, but the bond remains. And together we heal, together we rise, and together we carry each other forward. And remember the key word there, together. Together we heal, together we rise, and together we carry each other forward. Hashtag be someone stranger. Listen, ladies and gents, we talk about this all the time on HomeFront SitRep. We as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. So be someone stranger today. When you go out and about and you see somebody and it looks like they're having a bad day, go up to them and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" If they give you the red flags, "I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. I'm living the dream." Ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? And be ready for that conversation. Because man, it could be a 5-minute conversation. It could be an 8-hour conversation. You just have to be ready for that conversation and just listen to them. Don't try to fix them because a lot of times we as humans, we just want to vent, get our frustrations out, and let us be heard. So be someone stranger and ask the next hard question. And then it takes a village, guys, ladies. We talked about this a little bit earlier on the show. It takes a village. Check on your tribe, right? You got to find your people, your tribe. That's your village. You got a device that is you're glued to all the time. It's this little phone, right? Mine has over 2,000 contacts in it, if not more. So go to your contacts, scroll, blindly click on a name, call that person. If they don't answer, leave a message. Say, "Hey, it's Willis. I'm just calling to check in on you, man." Do it again until you get somebody. And keep doing that until you get somebody on the phone. You never know. You might save that person's life. So it takes a village. All right. Next up is sofmissions.org. Man, this is a top tier veteran service organization down in Tampa, Florida, founded by Marine Corps veteran Damon Friedman and his wife. This, when I say top tier, let me tell you, they are top tier. When we were down in Tampa, Gunny and I went down in February. I didn't know what to expect when I got down there. And when we had Damon on the show, he's like, "Hey, y'all need to come experience SOF missions." I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect. We get down there, and from minute one, we could feel the love. Like they just loved on Gunny and myself and all the other veterans that were there. And it's a fast paced 5 days, man. Let me tell you, it's a fast pace. But here's the kicker. When you get done with this class or this clinic, you got 365 days of them loving on you for 365 days. They check in weekly, they check in, make sure if you need supplements, they send them to you. If you need uh chiropractor, massage therapy, whatever, They're there to help you walk you through it. So check out sofmissions.org. Up next is heroesmediagroup.com. This is Adam Bird, man. Uh, Homefront SitRep has been a HMG family member for 2.5 years. And I will tell you what, it's been amazing. So check out heroesmediagroup.com and go check out all the veteran podcasts that are on there. Up next is reaseacrossamerica.org/radio. Reese Across America Radio. You can find it anytime. You can download the Audacity app, iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, search the word Reese, and check it out. Homefront SitRep is on Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern. That's Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern on www.reaseacrossamerica.org/radio. So go check out Reese Across America Radio. Up next is sameflagsameoath.com. Go here. Where's it at? There we go. There's our shirt, Marine It Down, right there. Uncle Sam is still wearing it back here in the background. Unfortunately, he ain't washed his yet. So go check out sameflagsameoath.com. Get your own, man. It's a co-branded shirt. Homefront SitRep at the end of the year, we get like 25% of all sales. We take that money and we donate that to a veteran nonprofit. So go get you a Marine It Down shirt. It is written in red crown because, you know, us Marines, we love our crowns. So go get you a shirt. Make sure you tag Homefront SitRep in it. Up next is EliteEngraving24.com. Veteran-owned company here in Kentucky. I hope to have them on the show. I need to reach back out to them. She's kind of scared. She's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do it. And her husband's definitely not doing it. So check out EliteEngraving24.com. Up next is Valor Coins and Pins. This is Brent and Brian Casey, grandsons of a Medal of Honor recipient, Herschel Woody Williams, who created the Woody Williams Foundation. Now, Valor Coins and Pins, when you order your coin or your pin, 10% of all proceeds goes back to the Woody Williams Foundation, so that you can put up Gold Star monuments all across the country. So go check out Valor Coins and Pins. Up next is rdcshoes.com. This is Marine Corps veteran Darren Davis. They have the Glory, the Patriot, the Folds of Honor. They also have a golf shoe as well. They are now a part of America's 250. So super, super cool about RDC shoes. Go check them out. Go buy you a pair. I love my Patriots, and man, they are comfortable as all get out. My wife hates when I wear them, but I love them. They are very patriotic. So go check out rdcshoes.com. Up last but not least is homefrontsitrep.com. This is our website. This has got all these great veteran authors, veteran business owners, veteran singers, comedians. Anybody we've had on the show goes on to Homefront SitRep. And if you know somebody who's a website editor that can help me out for free, let me know, because man, it's time consuming to keep up a website. So check out homefrontsitrep.com. You can also get our shirt and our hat. The link is there. We will have a store site coming. We're going to have 4 new shirts coming out here soon. The first one's called the Spicy Pineapple. It's the old pineapple style grenade. And on the back, it says tossing joy into people's life since 1906. Then we're going to have hashtag you're not alone, hashtag be someone stranger. And then we're going to have just a Homefront SitRep logo shirt as well. But that store site is coming, so be ready for that. But other than that, man, I think that's about it for tonight. So like we always say on Homefront SitRep, stay safe out there. We got your 6.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront SitRep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.